Today, we are talking about something that affects a lot more Australians than you realise. What happens when your credit file isn't perfect? If you've ever fallen behind on repayments, had arrears, defaults, or even just struggled to get approved by a bank, you might feel like your options are gone. Jacques Pretorius' firms help self-employed and PAYG clients with refinancing even if your credit file is impaired, consolidate debt, access business cash flow, and even invest in property. So let's start with the reality. What happens when someone has arrears or defaults on their credit file?
Well, it's a good question, Taylor. In short, what happens is it makes it very difficult for you to get out of the debt. Your options become far less because the minute a lender sees that you're in arrears or if there's a default on your file, it's an immediate decline for them. So when you're in that position, it's not a good position and people feel like they're in a debt trap. And that's the problem with that situation.
Yeah, and what type of people do you typically see in this situation?
Well, we normally work with two types of people in this situation. We work with self-employed business owners who have a complex revenue stream and that find themselves in a difficult situation. But we also work with people that are PAYG salaried workers. Maybe they've had a crisis in their family, they've gotten sick or they've gone through a divorce or something's happened and they find themselves in a tricky situation. But with both of these groups, what's important is that they're both good earners and they both have good assets. They just find themselves in a situation where they feel they can't get out.
Okay, so how does your company help where the bank says no?
Well, I think it's good to know that in our firm, we're very familiar with specialist lending. So we know who are the lenders out there that will look at your situation, look at the whole situation, even though you're in arrears, even though you might have a default, and still get an approval. So we know all the non-banks, we work very closely with them. We know there's also private funders too. So we know some reputable private funders. And sometimes we have to start with a private funder, then go to a non-bank, and then back to a bank. And that's something that we can help people navigate through. Yes.
Okay, so what are these many ways that you do help your clients turn their situation around?
Well, we help clients in a few ways. One of the ways we help them with is debt consolidation. Because a client could find themselves in a situation where they've actually started paying default rates, which is very expensive. They've got high credit card debts. Their expenses are out of control. Their debt costs is out of control. So we'll consolidate all those debts together, put it into a cheaper facility that's more long-term, which immediately helps people with their cash flow. So debt consolidation is one part. Another way we help people is that if a borrower is in distress, and they need to get a better rate or better options, we help them refinance. So they might feel stuck where they are at the moment with their lender, but we help those borrowers in distress get out of distress. Something else we do that's very valuable is we help companies with their cash flow. So we know how to leverage properties to get a significant amount of equity out of the property that you can put into your business, even if you have a credit impaired file. So that's something else we do. And then, of course, sometimes an investment opportunity comes along and you think to yourself, oh man, but my credit file is not looking great. I can't take up this investment. And that's where we come in too. We can actually help people buy an investment property. So those are a few ways we help people.
Well, that's interesting. But you mentioned that it's more about it's not always about getting the loan. It's more about rehabilitation. What does that mean?
Yes, so when you're in the situation where you've gotten unlucky and your credit file's not looking great, your financial position is not looking good, you don't have many options. So if you run through our process, you actually go through a bit of a financial rehabilitation. And how that works is it basically works in two stages. Stage one is we match you with a non-bank or a private lender that accepts your situation as it is. That gives you an opportunity to catch up with your repayments. It gives you an opportunity to fix up your cash flow. It gives time for your credit file to recover. And then once we're in that position, in about 6 to 12 months later, we'll reevaluate your situation. And there's a good chance you now qualify to go to a higher tier lender. even up to a tier 1 lender. So in the process, we've rehabilitated you. We've taken you from arrears and distressed to back with a tier 1 lender where you're getting the best possible rate. So in a sense, it's like a financial rehabilitation process.
Okay. So how would you help those clients who don't have a large deposit or equity?
Well, the nice thing about that is because we have these close relationships with non-banks and private lenders is that they also give higher LVRs. What that means is that if you're looking to buy your investment property, you don't have to put down 20%. You can put down less, which makes the opportunity more viable. But also it means that if you need to get a cash out, you can get a cash out at a higher LVR, so you can sweat your asset or get a bigger amount of money for your property. So, but once again, it comes down to matching your situation with the right non-bank or private lender.
Okay, so what would you say to someone listening that maybe has a default or is behind on a loan and they feel like there's nothing they can do to get out?
Well, the message I would give somebody like that is just because your credit file is impaired doesn't mean you don't have options. If you give us a phone call and we can have a confidential conversation, we can look through your situation and we can match you with the right lender. And oftentimes we're very successful in doing that. So don't give up hope. Talk to us sooner rather than later, because the longer you leave it, the worse it gets. But there are options available to you, and we'll show you, we'll give you a strategy. We'll put a strategy in place and completely rehabilitate you financially and put you in a position where you can flourish again.
Yeah. So who are these people that should be contacting your company?
Well, people who should contact us is if you've been declined by the bank, give us a call. If you in arrears with any lender, it could be an unsecured loan, it could be your current mortgagee, give us a phone call because we can help you with that. If you are struggling with your debt repayments, if it's out of control, debt consolidation is something we're really good at. And the other thing too is come see us if you haven't completed your financials, there are options available to you. You don't have to necessarily give us 2 years financials to qualify for a competitive loan. Oftentimes, an accountant's letter is good enough. So there are other ways that we can verify your income. It doesn't have to be your financials or your bank statements. And on that basis, we can help you qualify for a competitive loan.
Wow, this has been incredibly valuable. It's reassuring to know that there is structured ways for people to financially recover. So where can these people find you?
Well, our details would be in this link at the bottom, and we welcome a conversation like that. We'll keep it confidential, and it'll be educational, and we can give you some hope, and we can help you get back on your feet, and again qualify for some of the best deals on the market.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.